This is the second demo preparing the Interchain dTypeDB technology. It is another Interchain demo showing an Interchain ERC20 standard that acts as a semantic singleton in terms of being uniquely referenced on any chain and having the same total supply on any chain. This is possible with our Golden Gate technology for interchain bridging. These are functions that enable interchain support for moving tokens from your own account from one chain, represented by the source chain ID, to another chain, the target chain ID, and for transferring your tokens from your account on the source chain ID to somebody else's account on the target chain ID. In future videos, we will also show interchain minting and burning of ERC20 tokens. If you saw our previous demo, we are going to use the same mechanism for deploying an interchain ERC20 contract on both source and target chains. We have a Cosmos interchain account and a Golden Gate abstract account. And deployment is going to be done through the proxy bridge smart contract deployed on the first chain. In our case, we will send the deployment transaction on the Mythos chain with a chain ID of 7001, and it will also be deployed on the Logos chain. This is the Interchain ERC20 contract. We want the deployment bytecode for a total supply of 10,000 tokens, all assigned on the Mythos chain for the address that makes the deployment. We are on the JavaScript virtual environment, so we can just copy the input from here, and this will be the bytecode and the constructor arguments. We are going to the proxy bridge interface, pasting the bytecode here, and we want to deploy this contract on the chain that we are on now, which is Mythos, and on Logos. We click on deploy. We are on the Mythos chain. We make the transaction, and if we look at the relayer logs, we should be seeing the packets being sent between Mythos and Logos. Now what we want to do is find the address of the smart contract that we just deployed. And we do this by getting the abstract account for the deployer address, for the address that we used for sending the deployment transaction. And this is the abstract account with a nonce of 11, and this means the smart contract was deployed with a nonce of 10. And we can take this information and find the smart contract address with a tool like ethers.js. Just by pasting the address, the nonce is 10, and this is the address of the smart contract, the Interchain ERC20, and this address is valid for both Mythos and Logos. Now we can go to Remix, switch on the injected Web3, which is the Mythos network with an ID of 7001, and load the contract here. And the total supply, we can see that it's 10,000, the symbol, the name of the token, and we can check our balance. Which is 10,000. This is what we expect on the Mythos chain. Now we take the same address and go on the Logos chain, which is injected here in Remix with a chain ID of 7002. We load this address, and we see the total supply is 10,000, exactly the same on the Mythos chain. Symbol name the same, and now if we get our address, on this chain on Logos we have 0 tokens. So now we can move some tokens from Mythos to Logos in the same account. Let's go back to the injected environment and get the call data for moving the token from one chain to another. Source chain ID 7001, target chain ID 7002 from this address, and we will move 1,000 tokens to the Logos chain. So we can copy the call data constructed from here, and we can paste it here. And this is the address of our ERC20 contract, a value of 0, gas limit 300,000, connection ID, connection 0. This is the connection between Mythos and Logos, the IBC connection, and we want to send to chain ID 7002. The signature part is not yet implemented, so we'll just put some empty bytes here. So we've prepared our move transaction, but let's also prepare our transfer transaction. From chain 7001 to 7002, from the same address, we will transfer 100 tokens to this address. And we are going to copy this call data. Now here, let's make the replay transaction for the move function. And we should be able to see the packets being sent between Mythos and Logos. And now let's go back to Remix. And switch on the injected Mythos network. And again load the ERC20 contract. And let's see, the total supply is unchanged, 10,000. Symbol name unchanged. But let's see what our balance is. And it's 9,000. So we have 1,000 tokens less. And now we can go on Logos, and the total supply is unchanged. Our balance now is 1,000 tokens. So we just moved 1,000 tokens from the Mythos chain to the Logos chain as an interchain transaction controlled by the owner account. Now let's do the transfer. So we previously constructed the call data for the transfer of tokens, and we are transferring 100 tokens. we should be seeing packets being relayed between Mythos and Logos. And now if we go on Remix, on Mythos, total supply is the same, and our balance is now 8,900 minus those 100 tokens. And the balance of the account that we sent to should be 0 because we sent to this account on the Logos chain. So we go on the Logos chain. Total supply is unchanged. Our balance here is unchanged, but the balance of the account that we transferred to should be 100. And this is an interchain transfer of funds controlled by the owner's account. What you saw in this demo is data sharding for ERC20 tokens. Same contract address on all participating chains. The total supply is the same across chains. Moving assets across chains is done only by owners. State is kept in dTypeDB. Advantages: no more wrapping of tokens that may be fragmenting the token across chains. The bridging is trustless and decentralized, and it is compatible with dTypeDB plugin contracts. You control your coins on all chains that hold them. Access to the demo dApp and support for testing the tech is available to dTypeDB interested parties.